Hi, my name is Jake, and I am a bookish drummer. So for today's video, I will be discussing all of the series that I want to go back and reread next year in 2026. And for those of you who don't know, I do love to reread quite a bit. Even so that like one of the previous years, I don't remember what year exactly, but like close to 50% of my reads that year was solely rereads. And I know a lot of people are against rereading, or they just don't like to do it because they feel like they need to get to a lot of newer books or get to a lot of books that they haven't read yet. And I do love that feeling of trying a new book and trying to find new favorites and reading like new releases. But I also really relish going back to old favorites because you can just, fall back on something that you know you're going to love. Because there's always that feeling of like you're really excited for a new book or a new to you book, and you get so excited for it, and then you finish it and you're disappointed. But with rereads, of course, more often than not, you're going to just fall back on some really cool favorites that you know you're going to love. So I'm excited for this. And also kind of another reason for this is because that me and Stacy are going to try to plan to budget a bit more, and not just for like book related things, but just budget in life in general. And one of the things that I can do to, spend less on books in general is to reread. We already have like a ton of books to read as well. So we're just going to try to buy less books, but also in order to do that, I think rereading is going to be a lot of fun because I already love to reread. So an excuse to reread more, like a lot more, is going to be a lot of fun. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. First off, before I get to the series that I want to reread, I do want to quickly mention a video that I made like a few months ago. I don't really remember when I did it, but I posted this video of like books that I need to reread in order to see if they can fit into my top 10. So most of those are going to be standalones. I'm not going to mention all of those from that video, but certain books like Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky, Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Both books are falling. Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey. Shit, I grabbed the wrong book. And Hard-Boiled Wonderland in the End of the World by Haruki Murakami. These are all 5-star, all-time favorite books, but I've only read them once. So I think in order for me to put them in my top 10, if I choose to do so, I have to read them again because it's been a long time since I've read some of these books. Some of these books, not that far out. Like Just Like Home, I read last year. So that, we'll see. But like this book, I read like almost a decade ago at this point. So I'm going to have to reread it, see how I feel about it now, and then go back and do my top 10. So that'll be probably sometime next year. But for the rest of this video, I'm going to be talking about series that I would love to go back and reread. Either in its entirety is a reread, or books that I need to reread, like 2 books in a trilogy, so I can actually go back and read the third book. You know how it is. Let's start out with one that I know 100% is going to happen because me and my buddy Ian from Ian the Reader have decided to do a read-along for this series, and that would be the Redwall series by Brian Jacques. And this series is a childhood favorite of mine. I read so many of these books when I was in like elementary school and middle school, and it's basically just like a not children's, I guess you could say YA, middle grade, I guess. Probably middle grade is the better example. But it's basically, just these live animals that can talk and have human characteristics. And, it's kind of just a fantasy with live animals. So you've got like mice, birds, badgers, foxes, rats. Like you've got all kinds of animals that have different characteristics. And there's battles and there's quests, and it's just a fun time. And it's been a while since I've read these, obviously, like probably since I was a kid. And yeah, I think this is going to be a fun reread. Hopefully you join me and Ian We're going to obviously start with Redwall. I think we're going to do it in publication order and not chronological order. So probably starting January, we're going to be picking up the first book, Redwall, and then going from there. And hopefully it stands up because it's been a while since I've read all these books. But yeah, I'm very excited for my reread of Redwall. And also something that I'm 100% sure that I'm going to do next year. I'm also probably going to be buddy reading it with Ian if I can wait for him, that is. We haven't really discussed when we're doing this, but I'm going to do it with or without him anyway. So I'm, of course, talking about George R. R. Martin, A Song of Ice and Fire, my all-time favorite series. It's been a long time. It's past due for me at this point, so I need to go back and reread my all-time favorite series. And if you've been watching me recently, you've known that I'm going back to reread all of his stuff, not just A Song of Ice and Fire. I'm starting out with his short story collections, his novels from the late 70s and 80s. He's written a ton of sci-fi and horror and fantasy, and that's all great. But obviously, this is all leading up to rereading my all-time favorite series. So A Song of Ice and Fire will be reread by me next year. We'll kind of see when that happens because obviously I do want to reread all of this stuff, and I'm kind of piling through all of this. It's rather short stuff, so I think I can get through it probably mostly in 2025, and then hopefully by January I can jump into A Song of Ice and Fire, but that's kind of like, we'll see what happens. But I'm going to reread this, so be prepared. Another series that I haven't read in quite a long time, and I've only read through it once. It is one of my all-time favorite fantasy series, but I think I need kind of my perspective on it now as a reader, because honestly, looking back on it, I don't really remember that much. I do think I will like it, but it'll be interesting to see if I like it the same, more, or less. And I'm, of course, talking about the Witcher series by Andrzej Sapkowski. This is a series that I would have put, like, when I finished it, it ended up being in my top 5 favorite fantasy series. But for now, like, looking back on it, it's really hard to rank it that highly because I don't remember that much about it. I remember the characters and I remember, like, big plot moments, but overall, the series as a whole is a bit muddled in my mind. And with the new release of the prequel novel, which I don't remember the name of, but I'll post it here. I think it's supposed to be Geralt, like, as a teenager, maybe, like, prequel stuff. Very interested to check this out, but first, I want to go back and reread the series and then go and read that. Or maybe read that first and then jump into this. I don't know, but either way, I want to reread this and kind of get a new, kind of fresh perspective on it as a reader now, because it's been a long time since I read it for the first time. And again, it'll be interesting to see how I feel about it now. Will it still be a top 5 favorite fantasy series? I don't know. I think it'll still be top 10, but we'll see. And again, speaking of Ian the Reader and speaking of childhood favorites, I think we also might, and this is not 100%, we might be going back to reread Pendragon, which again, I would classify as more of like a middle grade, maybe young adult, but I think more middle grade. It's a book, or in a series that I read a lot as a kid in middle school, and it was just a really fun time. I actually never finished the series. It's a 10-book series, and I at least read the first 4 books, possibly 5. And this one, again, I remember a little bit about, but it'll be interesting to see if I like it as much as I did in middle school. It'll be interesting to see how well they hold up. This one, however, different from Redwall, where like me and Ian are 100% doing that. I don't know if we're 100% doing this. If you're watching, Ian, what's going on? What's happening with Pendragon? I don't know. But I do really want to go back and at least try the first book and then see if it's good. And then if it is, go back and finish the series because I don't know how it ends. I mean, I'm sure it'll have, like, I don't know, maybe the main character dies. I don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, I do want to go back and at least reread the first book and then go from there. So we'll see. What's going on, Ian? Let me know. And then the last 2 books or series that I have to talk about are by the same author. They're both sci-fi trilogies that I've read the first 2 books in, but I need to go back and reread the first 2 books in order to read the 3rd book. And actually, the more I'm thinking about it, I think one of them is actually not a trilogy because he's working on another book, but I digress. I'm, of course, talking about Adrian Tchaikovsky. And the 2 series that I'm talking about are the Final Architecture trilogy, which I think this is safely a trilogy. I've read the first 2 books, Shards of Earth and Eyes of the Void, which I really much enjoyed. But I would never read the third book, so I have to reread the first 2 books and then jump into the third book, and hopefully I can do that in a short amount of time. And then his other trilogy, which I think won't be a trilogy for long. I think he's writing more in that series. But Children of Time, which is probably my favorite novel by him, maybe. I need to reread that, and Children of Ruin, which I didn't like as much, but we'll see how I feel about it on a reread. In order to read Children of Memory, which is the third book for now, well, it's always going to be the third book. I mean, the last book for now, and then we'll see what happens after that. But I digress. I need to reread the first 2 books in the series in order to reread the third book. So hopefully I can do that, because I think it was like 2024, I had like such epic plans to read so much Tchaikovsky, and that just really shit the bed. I did not do that at all. So hopefully I can jump back and try to get back into the swing of Tchaikovsky, because he is one of my all-time favorite sci-fi authors. So it'll be fun, but hopefully I can, stick to that plan. And there might be some other books that I throw in. I'm probably not going to read that much Stephen King, because this year with the Stephen King book club with Ian, of course, we've been rereading, or at least I've been rereading a ton of Stephen King. And honestly, I'm a little Stephen Kinged out at this point. So probably not much Stephen King will happen next year. But, I might throw in 1 or 2. He is one of my all-time favorite authors. But we'll see. I'm going to maybe try to allow a bit more mood reading next year. So if I'm looking at my shelf and I'm suddenly in the mood for, I don't know, Krampus, I'm like, oh yeah, Krampus was great, I want to read that. Maybe I'll just do it, instead of thinking like, oh, well, I could, I need to make more time for these other reads. Maybe my mood brain would be like, no, you're reading Krampus. You're reading it. But anyway, yeah, that's what I got for you today. So that was my video for today. Some books and some series that I will potentially be rereading next year in the year 2026. Definitely let me know what you guys think of this video and what you guys think of the series and books that I plan on rereading. Are you going to join with me in the rereading? Because some of these are definitely going to be read-alongs and buddy reads over on the Bookistormer Discord. And let me know if you have read these before, whether you liked them, hated them, thought they were meh. And just let me know if there's any books that you're planning on rereading. Comment that down below and we'll chat about it. But anyway, of course, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you are subscribed, stay subscribed for more content. I try to post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, including the third Thursday of every month will be an off-topic Thursday video. And this month, for September, I'm going to be tackling my top 10 sitcoms. So you guys can see what shows I think are very funny, and just like what sitcoms I probably grew up watching versus like that I developed liking into my 20s and 30s. So yeah, just what are my favorite sitcoms, and also what are not my favorite sitcoms. I'm going to be talking about like my top 10, and then some honorable mentions, and then some sitcoms that I think are a bit overrated. So if you care at all about sitcoms, check out that video this Thursday. And like I already mentioned, Bookistormer Discord, where we've always got tons of buddy reads and read-alongs happening all the damn time, and also where you can find our, central place for the Long Walk Readathon, which starts on October 1st. So if you're interested in signing up for that, link down below, and you can sign up before October 1st, choose your team, and it'll be a blast. Also stay tuned for this Friday, where I will be doing my Long Walk movie review for Stephen King Friday. Me and Stacy actually went to go see it on this past Friday. It was very good, but I do have some opinions about it, so stay tuned for that. I've also got my Patreon link down below if you want to go support me there for as little as $1 a month, and my Amazon wishlist if you'd like to buy me a book. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a fantastic day.